This week's episode of TechNewsDay is sponsored by G.I. Joe War on Cobra and by ButcherBox.
And we've been called Elon Musk haters in the past for our critical coverage of some of the things that he's said and done. But it's more complicated than that.
Yes.
And the truth is, we love Elon Musk because he's a very weird man who is simultaneously without shame and also deeply insecure about how other people feel about him. He's fascinating, and it's good content.
Mm-hmm.
And in addition to loving Elon Musk, another thing we love is the video game The Outer Worlds, which came out a few months back and really scratched our sci-fi RPG itch after being completely turned off from the Fallout franchise.
Yeah. Now, if you haven't played The Outer Worlds, it takes place in a retro-futuristic outer space setting in which a company called Halcyon Holdings Corporation has successfully colonized several planets and is therefore essentially the government of these planets, as well as the sole employer. Therefore, shockingly, the human rights of colonists who have made the journey from Earth are secondary to the Halcyon Holdings Corporation's bottom line. Essentially, The Outer Worlds takes capitalism and colonialism to a logical extreme, and like with the colonization of the New World centuries ago, this involves indentured servitude.
So we're currently a ways off from interplanetary colonization, but Elon Musk is famously quite optimistic about colonizing Mars in the next few decades, which is cool. It's good to think long-term about stuff like this instead of just dismissing it as too hard. JFK famously pledged to send astronauts to the moon before the 1960s were over, not because it was easy, but because it was hard. And in 1969, it happened.
Yeah.
To be fair, though, visiting the moon involved just kind of sending some guys up there to take some pics and then immediately bringing them home. Quite complicated, but Mars is much, much, much farther away, and any humans who actually make it there are in for a long-term stay, which raises a lot of concerns and questions.
Yeah. It's like a weekend trip versus actually going somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah. Luckily, Space Daddy Elon Musk has answers to many of these questions. And last week, he shared those answers on Twitter.com, a free website. After tweeting, quote, megatons per year to orbit are needed for life to become multiplanetary, which essentially means we're going to need to send a whole lot of rockets to sustain a Mars colony, people replied asking Elon to elaborate on this. He said the goal is to do around 1,000 100-ton Starship launches per year, with around 100,000 people getting sent to Mars every 26 months or so when Earth and Mars are at their closest.
And here we get to Elon Musk and The Outer Worlds, the crossover that gets it right. Someone asks Elon how the 100,000 people will be chosen, and he replies, needs to be such that anyone can go if they want, with loans available for those who don't have money. Now, someone then replies, work off the loans. And Elon says, yes, there will be a lot of jobs on Mars. And boom, there we have it. Interplanetary indentured servitude, baby. A new life awaits you in the off-world colonies.
A new life awaits you in the off-world colonies. The chance to begin again in a golden land of opportunity and adventure.
And if you don't like it, you can just go home, right? It's that easy.
Well, see, that's the thing.
Yeah, you just say, hey, I want to go back to Earth and I don't want to work here, working off my, or even after your loan's paid for, you just go back to Earth. It's that simple.
See, you haven't yet paid off the ride to get here, so,
Oh, and then if
look at this from our perspective.
Yeah.
Why would we send you back to Earth when you haven't paid for the first rocket ship ride to Mars?
Now here I am on Mars, a musketeer, working for the company. And I say, listen, I've paid my trip, I've paid my dues, my pod is paid for, everything's good to go. You know what? I kind of miss some of my family. I want to go back to Earth. And then Musk hits you with the, the trip back costs money too.
Yeah.
So, why don't you get a couple more years?
A couple more years down in the mines.
And then you can get your off-planet ticket back to Earth.
Yeah.
Oh, well, yeah. Sounds fun. Now, sure, this new form of indentured servitude, it would be entirely voluntary, but so was the old kind, technically. And with the way things are going, by the time the SpaceX Mars colony is underway a few decades from now, it might be a toss-up between staying here on this climate change-ravaged rock fighting for basic resources or selling yourself into slavery to work in a mine on Mars. But, there's options.
Yeah.
At least there is an option.
Elon Musk is giving us options, just like the free market always does.
He is the invisible hand.
But also, Musk's goal of having 1 million humans living on Mars by 2050 might be a bit too optimistic.
Sure, yeah.
It's a noble scientific pursuit, but also one that a lot of scientists, actual scientists, think is wildly unrealistic. In addition to the logistics of ensuring that there's enough food, oxygen, and water, there's also the fact that living on Mars would mean getting constantly exposed to dangerous levels of cosmic radiation. Inventing rockets that can safely transport people to Mars That's literally just step one. There are a lot of other problems to solve, many of which might not even be discovered until people are already being sent there.
Yes.
Whoops. So that's fun. So if you're excited about becoming a SpaceX indentured servant, well, maybe don't hold your breath.
I mean, I am interested to see what kind of life insurance policies they offer, because if you're essentially just a test case for survivability, your family's got to get something, right?
No. Why would they?
On the other,
Why would they have to do that?
on the other extremely dark end of the spectrum, how would they know if you did die?
That's true.
Everything's fine here on Mars. The colonists are having a wonderful time. Look at them at their leisure on the weekends. And by the way, the weekends are 4 days here.
Yeah. With the way like deepfakes and facial recognition and CGI will be in 2050.
Yeah.
They send you up into space, it explodes somewhere out in the atmosphere, and
Everything's perfectly
your
fine.
frozen, lifeless bodies floating around forever, and they're just like, all right, well,
It's literally
we need to send a message back to Earth. Hi, Mom, I'm totally fine.
It's the intergalactic travel version of the movie Speed, where he just reloops the VHS tape over and over again.
Yeah.
And no one notices for like forever until they're like, wait, hold on, he's waved 78 times.
Well,
We have that to look forward to, so that's fun. In the meantime, though, fans of Elon Musk's hubris here on Earth should head over to Tesla.com to their merch store and pick up this new t-shirt featuring an image of that piece of Cybertruck window glass that was unintentionally shattered during its debut live stream. Now, it does cost $45, and unfortunately there's no option to take out a loan and repay that loan through hard labor while being pelted by harmful levels of radiation. But you know what? As we've said before, a little bit of radiation, just fine.
just a little bit.
So you get like a HEPA filter for your Mars house,
Yeah.
but that blocks most radiation.
You know, the radiation on Mars might be good for you. Might make us all into superheroes.
Yeah.
Only one way to find out.
Well, and all the news coming back from Musk's news network will say that everything's fine and the radiation levels are perfect, and we are superheroes now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we got all that to look forward to. But enough about Elon Musk's hypothetical labor practices for 30 years from now that may never even come to fruition. Let's talk about a guy whose current labor practices are notably terrible. Elon Musk. Wait, no, sorry, I'm kidding. Amazon CEO Jeff Bezos.
Yeah.
And actually, we're not going to talk about any of that labor stuff because in this next story, Jeff Bezos is actually the good guy. Or at least the victim, not the good guy, but the victim.
Yeah.
Now remember, almost exactly a year ago, in mid-January 2019, when we briefly revived Creepy Text Theater to reenact some spicy text messages between Jeff Bezos and his then-mistress, current girlfriend, Lauren Sanchez, that were leaked by the National Enquirer.
Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah.
But a few months later, it came out that according to private investigators hired by Bezos, they also had nude and semi-nude photos of Bezos and Sanchez that they'd sent to each other. And they were using them to get leverage on Bezos, owner of the Washington Post, in order to stop the Post's investigation into the National Enquirer's cozy relationship with both Donald Trump and Saudi Arabia. Bezos, he doesn't bite, and instead he published that Medium.com article laying all this out and getting out ahead of it so they can't really use it against him.
Yeah.
You might see my dick.
Just letting you know.
Yeah.
Now, 2 months later, Bezos' private investigator, Gavin DeBecker, published his own op-ed updating the whole situation, specifically his efforts to figure out how exactly the Enquirer people had gotten into Bezos' phone. The Enquirer had thrown Sanchez's brother, Michael, under the bus as their source, but that didn't really explain how the phone's contents had been obtained. Well, according to DeBecker, it sure as shit looked like it had been the Saudi government who had hacked Bezos' phone.
Yeah.
Huh.
Now, this was based on what sounds like a lot of investigative research, and the motivation for the Saudis was simple. Washington Post journalist Jamal Khashoggi had been killed and dismembered by agents of the Saudi government, and the Washington Post had responded by devoting a lot more space in their newspaper to investigating and scrutinizing the Saudi government and Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman. So the Saudis wanted to get some dirt on Bezos, and they couldn't just leak it themselves. That would be too obvious.
Yeah. Luckily, AMI, the Enquirer's parent company, is very buddy-buddy with the Saudi government. They'd even previously published a big, glossy, ad-free magazine about MBS in supermarkets and newsstands nationwide, which was basically just blatant, shameless propaganda for a foreign government.
Yeah. AMI's Person of the Year.
Yeah, we don't even have time to mention all the various other ways that AMI is very bad and they're people with no morals. I mean, just know this one fact. Everything we're describing came right after they got in huge trouble with the federal government and got off with a slap on the wrist by pinky promising that they wouldn't break any more laws for a while.
Yeah.
And even the magazine thing is currently under investigation because it might violate some, light espionage laws. Because if you're operating as an agent of a foreign government, as you know, you got to get certain things cleared.
No. Anyways, that's what we knew up until last April, and it was crazy enough. But this week, The Guardian published the results of their own investigation into this matter, and things are even wilder than previously thought. Now, you see, before Jamal Khashoggi's assassination, Bezos and MBS were actually pretty friendly with each other. Bezos was one of many big CEOs who welcomed the new Saudi crown prince with open arms when he made his big diplomatic visit in April of 2018. And according to The Guardian, just 1 month later, MBS sent Bezos a video file on WhatsApp that put the malware on Bezos' phone when he opened it. So
yeah, literally the guy that hacked Bezos' phone was the crown prince of Saudi Arabia, allegedly. Or at least his WhatsApp account is the WhatsApp account that put the malware on his phone.
Yeah, MBS smartly made friends with everyone in the tech industry, knowing, I'm sure, that you can get access to pretty much anything on Earth if you're friendly with these people, and also, they got the money.
Why hire spies
when they can do it for free?
You can just walk into these people's houses yourself and be welcomed. They give you the red carpet treatment.
Yeah.
So yeah, this happened also months before Jamal Khashoggi's assassination. So it looks like the idea of blackmailing Jeff Bezos into making the Washington Post reporting be less critical of Saudi Arabia was on the agenda long before they decided to just, go ahead and murder the guy doing the reporting. Or maybe, they could have been parallel plans, but that's interesting. Middle East expert Andrew Miller is quoted in the Guardian article saying, quote, "He probably believed that if he got something on Bezos, it could shape coverage of Saudi Arabia in the Post. It is clear that the Saudis have no real boundaries or limits in terms of what they are prepared to do in order to protect and advance MBS, whether it is going after the head of one of the largest companies in the world or a dissident who is on their own."
Wow. Anyways, it's unclear how exactly the story got leaked to The Guardian. It sounds like their sources come from both the Gavin de Becker private investigation as well as a separate United Nations investigation. So it's likely this is also something the FBI and or CIA are probably investigating themselves.
I would think.
If true, it's very troubling considering how cozy MBS is with our president, but especially with our president's son-in-law, Jared Kushner, who he's actually buds with. And, Kushner also has top secret security clearance for some reason, even though that was denied.
Yeah.
And he sounds like this. Hi guys, Jared Kushner here. Hey MBS, don't hack my phone. Plus all the other big tech CEOs. This is in addition to the other tech CEOs MBS has smooshed with on his U.S. visit, like we said before.
He's probably got a lot of WhatsApp conversations going.
Yeah. Yes.
Hey, look at this funny video of a cat I found.
And just because it's not out now doesn't mean they're not holding onto this information for when the time is right.
Seems like a guy with long-term ambitions.
Yes. Now, if this is true, it's difficult to believe it's an isolated incident.
Cool.
It reminds me very much of how Russian hacked both the RNC and DNC servers and only leaked one, holding on to the other one for some strange reason.
And people forget this, but Russia is a very poor country. They have a GDP similar to, like, Italy. Saudi Arabia, on the other hand,
a little bit more money.
A little bit more money and a little bit more resources when it comes to this kind of rat fuckery. Yes. So that's great.
Yes.
But speaking of hacking phones, Apple and the DOJ are in a bit of a disagreement right now, and
oh, jeez.
Oh my God, Phil is back again.
Scares me every time.
All right, you want to take this one?
I got it.
Okay, cool, fine.
All right, so Apple's a very polarizing company. Some people love their iPhone and AirPods Pro synced to their MacBook Pro, and they don't mind paying the Apple tax because it just works. Other people love their Androids or gaming PCs or couldn't give a shit that they're green bubble people. There is no right answer. That's not what this story's about. I happen to be an Apple guy. An Apple guy in the sense that I have some of their products, but I'm definitely not a fanboy. I do have a 2016 MacBook Pro. It's a great computer with a absolutely horrible keyboard, which downgrades that machine to a computer. If you ever have the opportunity to buy one used, do not. Keyboard is that bad. I got an iPhone 10 on launch day a few years ago, a little over 2 years ago, and when I opened the box in that cool signature Apple way, the touchscreen didn't really work. Like half the time didn't work. So I don't know if the footage still exists. Do you remember when I came on the show and I was like, look at this cool phone, this is what it's shaped like, this is what it looks like. Mine doesn't really work, and that was on the ETC show. So anyway, I wasn't super blown away by the phone or the non-working screen, and if it matters, I've had a working version of that phone and haven't upgraded it over the past 2 years because I don't care. None of this Apple shit's super interesting to me. But one of the biggest things I do like about Apple is their overall stance on privacy. For companies like Google, Amazon, and Facebook, you and me, the consumer, are the product. Sometimes they have really great services like Google Maps or same-day Prime shipping, but when you're getting turn-by-turn directions to your favorite dispensary while using one click, buying to have your favorite cookies delivered to your house by 8 p.m., Google and Amazon are building an incredibly detailed profile on you, but not Apple. In 2019, Apple made a bold statement at CES with a huge ad on the side of a building, and that message was clear. They value your privacy and don't silently collect your info. Now, all of this tracks with Apple's public behavior. In 2016, when the FBI asked Apple to unlock the San Bernardino killer's phone, Apple said no. Edward Snowden voiced his support, and armchair nerds like me slept a little better, knowing that the multi-billion-dollar company who sold them an overpriced rectangle had their backs. The reason us nerds were happy Apple didn't cave is that if they unlocked one iPhone, they would be handing law enforcement a master key that would be able to unlock any iPhone. But hold on. What if law enforcement being able to unlock this phone, could prevent a future terror attack? Isn't that a little bit more important than having an iPhone user keep their privacy? Yeah, we'll get to this at the end. Stop trying to jump ahead when I try to tie this up in a neat little package. Anyway, the story took a turn when the FBI said they unlocked the phone without Apple's help. Many presume this because this was an older iPhone 5C, which doesn't have Touch ID, which means the secure enclave chip wasn't there, so it's probably easier to hack. But as time went on, stories started popping up of the newest model of iPhones being unlocked without Apple's help. And it was this little box that supposedly is what helped the feds break into what we all believed were secure iPhones. They just work, guys! Law enforcement was still asking Apple's help to unlock phones, all while this little box was being able to hack these phones made by a company called Grayshift, who essentially were hacking these phones if the government paid them enough money. Okay. Well, here's their sinister-looking website, which I immediately regret navigating to from my home computer and internet connection. I read this in cliché Simpsons gangster voice. Gray Key is not for everybody. We kindly request that you tell us a bit about yourself and your organization. That's a whole lot of yikes. Here is their sparse Wikipedia page where there is one sentence of information. That's the entry. It's one sentence. On behalf of Internet Today and Ricky and Elliot, we kindly request that you tell us a bit about yourself and your organization. I'm probably going to end up dead. I probably should not be. Next week I'm going to talk about
Why is there smoke coming out of your phone?
I'm going to talk about how cool PlayStation is next week. Anyway, fast forward to 2019, and we've got another mass shooting because we live in a nightmare hellscape, and none of us are ever safe, no matter where we are. So this latest shooting took place at a naval air station in Pensacola, and you guessed it, the shooter had an iPhone. Tell me if this story sounds remotely familiar. The FBI asked Apple to unlock the shooter's phone. Attorney General William Barr piled on to the FBI's request, and Apple said no. Even Donald Trump weighed in, which is weird because he usually doesn't weigh in on a whole lot of stuff. So this is where the story kind of ended. Monday night with the big no from Apple. If we were doing this episode on Monday, that would be the end of the story. But Tuesday morning, everything changed when it broke that in 2018, Apple very quietly killed plans to encrypt iCloud backups. Apparently, after talking with the FBI, Apple didn't move forward with this plan, according to a former Apple employee. Legal killed it for reasons you can imagine. This is particularly surprising because if you asked me Monday night, I would have put my nerd credit on the line and said Apple has been encrypting iCloud backups all along. So Tuesday morning, I checked this iCloud security page and it says that backups are encrypted. But if you scroll down to the thing where end-to-end encryption, all that stuff is, they're not included there. That is pretty fucking lame of Apple to tout privacy and publicly shout from the rooftops, "No way, FBI! I'm not gonna unlock these phones for you," all while privately giving a soft backdoor to the FBI that leads right to unencrypted backups. And it looks like Gray Key is still able to unlock the newest models of iPhone if law enforcement pays them enough. So hey, they can go in the front door, they can go in the back door. It almost seems like this is a big charade where Apple loudly defies the government like there's some punk rock startup who won't cave to these narcs, but at the same time they're like winking to the FBI, and very civil to law enforcement behind closed doors. I doubt if any of you come here for ethics debates, but here's one. Do citizens deserve privacy at any cost, even if that cost is human lives or terrible people doing terrible, unspeakable things? It's been proven time and time again that if you give any government the power to do the thing, they will do the shit out of that thing. Truth is, the only reason we know the full extent of the NSA's surveillance powers is, this guy here leaked a bunch of classified documents to the press, and as far as I can tell, he had to move to Russia, and he's living in Russia for the next 3 years.
He's doing great.
He's doing awesome. They made a movie about him, so he's got to be doing great. So this is the part where the Android fanboys get to laugh at the Apple fanboys, and those smug Apple users who thought their artisan recipes were encrypted in the cloud must come to terms that, bro, the government can read your mead recipe. And it's like 5 out of 10. So what can you do, person watching this? Well, if you're really worried about government snoops, turn off iCloud backups and only back things up locally, and where you can, enable encryption. But if you do that, your iMessages won't sync across all your devices, taking away some of the magic, and things no longer just work. What a lot of privacy comes down to is convenience. Personally, instead of Google, I use DuckDuckGo as a search engine. They don't track you, they don't store your searches, and guess what? It's not as good as Google. It's just not. I trade convenience for a little bit of privacy. And if you make that choice across your entire digital life and avoid Google and Facebook and Amazon and turn off location and history sharing with all your apps, all those little annoyances give you privacy, but they slowly become more and more inconvenient and they add up. You definitely live a more private life, but all that magic of technology, it kind of starts to go away and becomes much more analog. So find the balance of privacy and convenience that works for you. And right now, I'm going to burn off my fingerprints and scrub my online footprint so Gray Shift can't disappear me like Walter White. And that's a rap fact.
Well, thanks, Phil.
Yeah.
I feel great now.
I hope you don't die.
Anyway, it's time for a word from this week's sponsors, starting with G.I. Joe, War on Cobra. Yo, Joe. G.I. Joe and Cobra are back in G.I. Joe War on Cobra. Will you join the Joes and fight for justice, or will you seek world domination with Cobra? The choice is yours. G.I. Joe War on Cobra is a free download and out now for both Android and iOS devices. Whether you're a fan of the classic animated series, the iconic toy line, the comics, or all of the above, G.I. Joe War on Cobra has something for everyone. It has a massive roster featuring the most beloved and infamous heroes, villains, and vehicles featured in the series.
Once you've chosen your side, players will be introduced to the game's mechanics via Roadblock for Joes, or Baroness for Cobra. You'll learn how to manage your base, units, vehicles, and engage in battles to help you get a feel for managing your troops. As you continue with the single-player campaign missions, more options for reinforcing your army with additional units, heroes, and vehicles begin to open up. But that's just the beginning. G.I. Joe War on Cobra also features PvP and a ranked leaderboard. You'll need to fight hard for your faction, build out and defend your base strategically, and master the art of directing troops to conquer your foes. And in no time, you will be an expert on making attacks from air, land, and sea.
And as a token of appreciation for checking out G.I. Joe War on Cobra, they're giving away 2 free characters for all new players to help reinforce your army. Joes can look forward to picking up a free bazooka, the G.I. Joe missile specialist, while Cobra followers can add Missile Bat, the battle android trooper, to their squad. In the meantime, don't forget that knowing is half the battle. Check out the description below or head to www.d3go.com/TechNewsDay to download G.I. Joe War on Cobra and receive your free gift for your mobile device.
Yes. Now, this episode is also sponsored by ButcherBox. If your New Year's resolution for 2020 is to eat better and spend less time and money at the grocery store, it's time to check out ButcherBox. It's the meat delivery subscription that gives you more time for what matters most, grilling and chilling. Every month,
I just want to grill.
Every month, ButcherBox ships a curated selection of high-quality meat right to your home. And all the meat is free of antibiotics and added hormones. Each box has between 9 and 11 pounds of meat, enough for 24 individual meals. It's packed fresh and shipped frozen, and it's vacuum sealed so it stays fresh. Customize your box order or go with one of theirs. Either way, you get exactly what you want. They showed up at my door and I thought they sent one box for both of us, and then you got a box and I was like, oh my God, there is a lot of meat in here.
And I've been eating it and it is very good.
Good.
Options for your meats include 100% grass-fed and finished beef, free-range organic chicken, heritage pork, wild-caught Alaskan salmon, that's the one I've been eating, and sugar-free, nitrate-free bacon. ButcherBox is the most affordable and convenient way to get healthy, humanely raised meat. With ButcherBox, you get the highest quality meat for just $6 a meal, and they even have free shipping nationwide, except for Alaska and Hawaii. Right now, you can get 2 pounds of salmon absolutely free, plus $20 off your first box by going to butcherbox.com/newsday or just using the code Newsday at checkout. That's butcherbox.com/newsday or use promo code Newsday at checkout.
Yeah, it's good meat.
It is good meat.
Anyways, back to the topic of law enforcement and digital privacy. This week, the New York Times ran a piece covering a hot new app taking American law enforcement by storm. It's called Clearview AI, and it's a facial recognition app that allows police, or anyone with access, to upload a photo of someone's face and immediately find out who they are. We've previously covered Amazon's recognition software and how cops use it to match photos to mugshot databases with a pretty high false positive rate. But Clearview is different.
Yeah, so basically any photo of yourself that you've put on the public internet, or anyone else has put of you on the public internet, is in Clearview's database and tied to your name and whatever other public information about yourself that you've put out there. Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, Venmo, LinkedIn, etc. They've all been automatically scraped for photos of faces, which are then stored in a huge database that links all of those photos back to their sources and to each other. It is against the TOS of all of these sites to even do this, but how are they going to stop anyone? What are you going to do about it, Mark? And yes, this, to be fair, it has been very helpful for solving various types of crimes, including murders. In one case, the Indiana State Police solved a case involving a man being shot within just 20 minutes, thanks to some rough cell phone footage taken by a bystander. They matched his face in that video to another video posted to social media and quickly identified the guy despite his picture not being in any government databases. He didn't have a driver's license, he'd never had any arrest priors, so they wouldn't have found him using Amazon's recognition system, but they found him using Clearview.
Wow. In the context of solving violent crimes, it's hard to argue against this kind of tech, but of course it's not as simple as that. If the police can use it, that's only a few steps away from anybody who wants to use it using it. And there's currently no laws preventing that from happening. Just Clearview's AI's discretion on who they can take on as a client. Almost like the shakedown thing that Phil said.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about yourself before we let you in.
Oh, you want to break into some phones? Are you a cop? I mean, it really doesn't matter.
Yeah. Are you lying about your intentions? Yeah, we can look the other way.
We'll decide who gets to break into the phone.
Yeah, a privacy law expert told the New York Times, quote, "It's creepy what they're doing, but there will be many more of these companies. There is no monopoly on math. Absent a very strong federal privacy law, we're all screwed."
Oh, nice. Cool.
Yeah, that's good to hear.
There also hasn't been any independent testing on how often Clearview delivers false matches, and it's difficult to believe that it's accurate 100% of the time. As one privacy researcher told the Times, "We have no data to suggest this tool is accurate. The larger the database, the larger the risk of misidentification because of the doppelganger effect. They're talking about a massive database of random people they've found on the internet."
Here's a fun little paragraph from the Times article. Quote, "While the company was dodging me, it was also monitoring me. At my request, a number of police officers had run my photo through the Clearview app. They soon received phone calls from company representatives asking if they were talking to the media. A sign that Clearview has the ability, and in this case, the appetite to monitor whom law enforcement is searching for."
Yeah.
Whoa.
So all these police departments are using Clearview, and back at Clearview HQ,
Wait, this guy's a New York Times reporter.
Actively monitoring all of these searches, and if they yeah.
It's weird. This guy's picture, it pops up all the time in the bylines of the New York Times.
Yeah. So they figured out. They had enough suspicion that they were talking to the media to do this. And then later, the writer, she talked to the founder of Clearview, and he's like, "Oh, that was just a bug. We were just, something was flagged as a bug, so we just wanted to check in on it."
Well, now it's a feature.
Yeah.
Thanks for beta testing this.
Here's another fun paragraph. The computer code underlying its app, analyzed by the New York Times, includes programming language to pair it with augmented reality glasses.
No! No!
Users would potentially be able to identify every person they saw. The tool could identify activists at a protest or an attractive stranger on the subway, revealing not just their names, but where they lived, what they did, and whom they knew. And it's not just law enforcement. Clearview has also licensed the app to at least a handful of companies for security purposes.
I like how the only good use that this could have that came to my mind outside of the numerous dystopian reasons is that it would help me remember people's names that I had met before.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really bad at that, and like this would be cool for that.
Like
I show up at parties, you know, a lot of these people, you work in LA,
Yeah.
you see people once a year. It's hard to remember.
I want Clearview Light, where it just says their name, just their first name is fine, and then it has a little red or green light that says if I've actually met them before.
Yeah.
It's a Watch Dogs Acquaintance Edition.
Yes.
Yeah, that's all I want.
Hey, good. Phil's still alive. That's good.
Good.
Anyways, that's the one good thing I would be used
Yeah.
for. The other many creepy things, are, like imagine being like on the subway and being like, well, that guy had 5 DUIs. That person robbed a liquor store.
Yeah.
That person's clean but hot. I'm gonna follow her home.
Oh yeah, no, this is like bad news for everyone, but like women.
Yeah, specifically
Especially.
very, very bad.
Like this is the TV show You is trash, but
I haven't watched it.
like it's about a stalker. And it does show like kind of realistically how easy it is to stalk someone if you really put your mind to it.
Yeah.
And Clearview would, you know, cut out a lot of the steps involved in that. Just do it for you.
Yeah. Now, again, just because Clearview is currently only offering this service to law enforcement and vaguely other companies to use it for security purposes, that doesn't mean they won't someday have less discretion about who can use it. There's always a price.
Yeah.
Always a price. And there's going to be more of these companies.
And
so
there's no law saying they can't.
guarantee you Target already has this.
I mean, unless Target are... They
might develop their own.
Yeah, that wouldn't shock me one bit.
Anyways, as the timepiece notes, quote, even if Clearview doesn't make its app publicly available, a copycat company might, now that the taboo is broken. Searching someone by face could become as easy as Googling a name. Strangers would be able to listen in on sensitive conversations, take photos of the participants, and know personal secrets. Someone walking down the street would be immediately identifiable, and his or her home address would only be a few clicks away. It would herald the end of public anonymity. Asked about the implications of bringing such a power into the world, Clearview founder Mr. Ton That seemed taken aback. Quote, I have to think about that, he said. Our belief is that this is the best use of the technology. I wasn't thinking about the
What do you mean people are
implications.
creeped out by this? It's cool, right?
Yeah,
Look
this
at that.
is great. Everyone's having a great time.
Yeah, and it's like this guy isn't. He's not a genius. Like his previous business before this app was like an app to like. It was basically a Snapchat filter to put Donald Trump's hair on people.
No.
And then he just had this idea, and he's like,
mean-
well, it turns out it's not that fucking hard.
Yeah, to be completely fair to him, he's just doing it before someone else does.
Yeah.
I mean, realistically, you could take a picture of someone and run it through Google reverse search, and there's a slight chance that it might match one of their Facebook photos.
Yeah, I mean, again, this is kind of, it's cutting out a lot of steps that are already possible.
Yeah.
But like just the speed and ease of use is what makes it especially creepy.
Yeah.
But yeah, just another thing to always remember when you put anything on the public internet, it is being immediately vacuumed up into servers for this company and thousands of others who are just, you know, keeping that shit around just in case.
It will be cool, like, being born at the perfect time to watch the rise and downfall of the internet.
Yeah. I'm going to go get some Juggalo makeup tattooed onto my face.
That's the thing.
To-
You know, I'll be honest. I am not a huge fan of, what's his name, that the white rapper with the tattoos on his face.
Which one? There's so many. Aaron Carter?
No, the popular one now. The one that has the vibrato.
Post Malone?
Post Malone. Now, say what you want about how he looks like Oscar the Grouch or whatever, but
I wouldn't say that.
say what you want about his music. He does have that going for him. He's easily recognizable to a human, but maybe he's going to scramble the facial technology.
Yeah, he is decades ahead. He's very cyberpunk looking.
Yes.
Also, speaking of facial recognition, Wired had a great article this week about the guy who like originally developed the math to do it in like the early 60s. And yeah, would this surprise you? But all of his research was secretly funded by CIA front companies. Because as soon as this became a possibility, they were like, yes, we would like that
Yeah.
to do CIA stuff with.
Yes.
And of course, as you know, the CIA and the mid to late 20th century. Very on the level.
Yes. Yeah.
Looking
Very
out,
ethical.
looking out for your best interests.
Yeah.
Anyways, rather than end things on that note, like all the various notes we've covered today, let's close out the show with something a little more light. If you've built or repaired computers, this has likely involved the use of thermal paste, a substance used to fill in the gaps between components to ensure an even distribution of heat, like when you're attaching a heat sink to a CPU. Get it nice and snug, make sure nothing gets too hot. Now, thermal paste usually comes in a convenient syringe, so you can use exactly as much as you need and not get it everywhere. But if you're using a lot of thermal paste and there's syringes all over your workspace, your friends and family members who might not know what it is, they may get the wrong idea about you.
So last week, PC hardware company Cooler Master unveiled a new flatter and wider syringe design, saying on Twitter, "We didn't change the shape of the syringe to make applying thermal paste a lot easier, but because we were getting tired of having to explain to parents that their kid isn't using drugs." So if you've ever been accused by your parents of being a heroin addict, when they should have instead be, accusing you of being a nerd.
Nerd! I found these syringes. My son's a fucking nerd.
He's a dork. We should get a little bit easier for you now. You're just doing a whole lot more heroin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Getting those wide heroins in my wide veins.
I need an extra large heroin syringe. Yeah.
Anyways, that's it for this week's Tech News Day. Great news all around.
Yeah,
Good shit.
Watch our other episodes over here. We have a new episode of Weekly Weird News and News Dump, and we'll be back soon for some more episodes. So look forward to that, and try to have a good day.
Yeah. Have a great day.
See, we set the bar low, and now you go out and have a great day.
It's all up from here.
Utopian. From dystopian to utopian.
That's right, baby.
And you can't spell utopian without you.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. I know what I'm doing. It's time to grill.
Grilling and chilling.
I'm just trying to grill.